Hello everybody, this is Dario. Welcome to my channel Motley Reads. It's Friday evening. I just got back from my usual Friday evening run. Took a shower and then I thought I couldn't wait until after dinner, so I'll have dinner afterwards. Couldn't wait until dinner to tell you about the book that I just finished. It's this book, To the Lighthouse by Virginia Woolf. Now this is my first ever Virginia Woolf work that I've read, and this is, again, one of these authors that my wife had been trying for decades to convince me to read. I never did. This particular book, To the Lighthouse, has been in our home, for the last at least 25 years, and she's been reading it and rereading it a dozen of times and trying to convince me, please, could you read it? It's a fantastic book, but I never felt like it. So now I picked it up, and I'm really happy that I did it. It is not that I've been uninterested in Virginia Woolf. I've been very interested about the Bloomsbury Group, about the significance in the cultural history. She's been part of this Bloomsbury Group, as they were called, the group of intellectuals, academics, artists that have been active in London in 20s, 30s, early 40s. Virginia Woolf was one of them. Lytton Strachey, Duncan Grant, Vanessa Bell, John Maynard Keynes, just to mention a few. So I've been very interested in them. I've seen lots of documentaries. I've been to exhibitions. I've been walking around in Bloomsbury and trying to kind of get there overall, but never got to Virginia Woolf. So now I did it, and this was really a fantastic read. Now I will try to give you my view on the book. So the plot of the book here is pretty simple. It's Mr. and Mrs. Ramsay from London. Mr. Ramsay is a philosophy professor. Mrs. Ramsay is a housewife. They have 8 children. And they are spending summers in their summer house, their old summer house in Skye in Scotland. They are spending their summers surrounded with their friends, a crew of artists and academics that are visiting them there. They're having great parties and dinners. They're hanging out, talking to each other, and just having a good time. They have 8 children, and these 8 children are out there. The house is situated just on the shore, overlooking the ocean, and in distance they can see a lighthouse. So this book is split into 3 sections. In the first section, the family is there with their friends. They are talking. The lighthouse is always mentioned. A young boy, James, one of the kids, he wants to go to the lighthouse. They're talking about getting there, but due to the weather, they never get out there. And they are just hanging out and socializing, thinking, and playing the social games. Second part is a quite short part. It's a kind of an interlude. The summer is finished, and the time is changing, and the second part is actually called Time Passes. So multiple years pass here. The First World War begins, and they go through the war, and then the third part is after the World War I. The family is returning back to the house in different configuration, and finally they venture out to get to the lighthouse. So it is the plot is very simple, and this novel really couldn't carry more complex plot than that, because the writing in itself is extremely complex. This is not really about the plot, because the book itself is a psychological study. Now, this psychological study, it is actually executed in through her writing style. And now, when it comes to writing, it is pretty difficult. It is unconventional. I had to. You need to really tune in and find rhythm of the story. Mia told me that you need to find the rhythm, and a good way of doing it is actually to at least to start to listen to an excellent audiobook on Audible where the story is read by Juliet Stevenson. So I did that. I listened to Juliet Stevenson for first 2 pages, just to get her pace, and then I quit the audiobook and went back to the book, and then I basically used Juliet Stevenson's pacing and her voice in my head when I read this, and it helped me a lot to get through the book. And why you need such help is because this book is there is virtually no dialogue in this book, and there are no scenery descriptions neither. It is they are both of them, but very 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 sparsely. The bulk of the book is written as stream of consciousness. Really, the characters are thinking, so you are basically following their thoughts throughout the book, and this technique is masterfully executed by Virginia Woolf in this book, and as I understand it in other books. Now, the 3 parts of the books, they are written in a slightly different styles. In the first part of the book, what we have the family and their friends in the foreground, and the whole scenery with with the house and the surroundings and the lighthouse and so on in the background, very significant background, but they are in the foreground, and their thoughts are there continuously. You're following one person, and it feels like she's writing like the thoughts are playing. They're going very very deep. You can almost feel it. It feels like butterfly around flying around the flower. It's all this bubbling, and then butterfly moves on to the next flower, and so the thought is going from next person to the next person. So we're going from one person's head into next person's head, and then we are there, and then we can move back or move forward. So this the thought is flying through the people, and you are following both the social drama through this, and also getting deep into the soul of the people, who are very much into deep existential thoughts. He's a philosophy professor, and Miss Ramsey, and he has in existential crisis, like all of them to some extent. So you get to these deep existential thoughts here, and while you're reading that, you get confronted really with your own, as a reader, your own feelings about your own place in the world, and you recognize lots of these sentiments, lots of these things that you are meeting in your everyday life, and the lots of thoughts that you have been thinking but never really pointed out, or never be able to articulate, and I cannot think that somebody without any life experience really can get so much juice out of this book, because you really, I think that you need to have some experience. You need to be living a couple of decades or more in order to get really fully what is in there, because it is very much recognition, and it's taking you, and the book is taking you on your inner journey very much, and especially in this first part. And she's writing, you can feel when you read it that she's really she's writing her soul out, and you know, her writing is raw and uninhibited, and it's just, you know, feverish, and it's going on and going on, and you dive into it into the book. And you know, Mia and I, everybody read it. She read it again together with me, and so you read it, you like dive in, and you are intensely focused, you know, reading this, and then after a while you just like you're coming out like a diver from the water, breathing in air, and you know, okay, what happened here, and then, you know, we usually after these chapters then, you know, discuss the content here, and it's so, you know, it's so intense, this you know, both the thematic and her writing style. But this first part is finalized with the dinner party at the house, and it's like a crescendo of the first part, and then the second part, time passes, comes in, and this transition and the last paragraph of the first section and connected with the whole second section, it is, you know, right now I feel that's the absolutely best thing I ever read. The whole, you know, this, you know, the connection here and the feeling and the whole thing is really, it's masterful. It's masterful. So in the second part, time passes. Here, she changes. She switches, you know, the foreground from the first section goes into background, and a background from the first section goes into foreground. So what we do, you know, the people are disappearing behind the house, and disappearing in a distance. Yet we are following them, but the house is in the foreground, and the house is carried forward with time. So time is actually eating the house, and the things that are happening in a world together with the time are actually, you know, the main thing that is happening here. And I never felt such clear presence of time as a concrete thing ever in reading anything like in the second part here. And it's really short part in this book here. I think it's like 25 or 30 pages, and that was really you know, fantastic. So this complete shift of style from first part to second part, and here, you know, everything from the first part becomes insignificant in a big scheme of things. You know, when the time takes everything and then, you know, rolls it forward, you know, then everything, we small human beings, we become really nothing. Then the third part, now again the things are changing. You know, the foreground from the second part gets into background, and the people are back in the foreground. Now the crew is a bit different, yet to large extent same, but the feeling is completely new. You cannot resemble much of the feeling from the first part in the second part. You know, it is the light is that you feel is colder. It is kind of, you know, mutilated atmosphere compared with the first part, and it is you know, more matter of factly and more it's like it feels like written by somebody in grief, right? So they are completely, you know, different types of writing we have here, and you know, the characters are the same throughout the book in different, you know, the phases, and these this writing is to large part autobiographical, because Mr. and Mrs. Ramsay are Mr. and Mrs. Ramsay are really mother and father of Virginia Woolf. She grew up with her parents and the 7 siblings, so there were 8, like Ramsay's here, and they had also summer house. It wasn't in Skye, it was in Cornwall, actually, in St. Ives. But she modeled Mrs. Ramsay and Mr. Ramsay exactly on her parents, and I'm also wondering whether the artist crew around Mr. and Mrs. Ramsey here is model on the people in the Bloomsbury group, and especially I'm thinking about one of the characters here, who's very very big character here. It's an artist. She's a painter named Lily Briscoe. There, it is. Virginia goes quite deep into her psyche, and is writing, in a very initiated way, about her creation, about the way she paints and so on. And he and Virginia Woolf and her sister Vanessa Bell, they were really close to each other. And Vanessa Bell was, at that time, one of the most influential painters in Britain. So it feels like maybe at least a Lily Briscoe to some part, at least her creation, the way she creates paintings might have been modeled on Vanessa Bell, but I don't know. Maybe there are, again, probably there are some papers written on this theme. And speaking of theme, the general theme of the book, I would say, it is very much existential questions, questions about our place in the world, questions about significance of human life, and the persistence of what we create, significance for the coming generations, who we are, about who we are in a social setting. It is very much the existential questions that are thematic here, and the context in itself being settled, the novel being set just before World War One and during the World War I, after World War One. It is very much about the transformational character of the war as an event. You can also see it, the war as a change agent here is actually the changing the whole in light and into novel, and it's very much connected. I think it's connected also to the writing style. And another theme here, and the context that you can really see is the feminist thought. This is really a feminist text. A Room of One's Own, another book by Virginia Woolf, is known as a feminist text and talked about very much. But to me, this is also very much a feminist text, about the role of a woman in a society, about the role of a woman in a family, and you can see it clearly in the relationship between Mr. and Mrs. Ramsey, and him being this intellectual giant academic, his reflections on a state of being, and her reflections being more not very academic but very intuitive. They being on the same level, really intellectually, coming from two different backgrounds, but still her role is clearly, although she being Mrs. Ramsey being a main character in the novel, really her role in the family and in society somewhat lower, and you can feel it and you question it throughout the book. Also other characters, Lily Briscoe, Minta Boyle, all of them are kind of playing like we used to say in Sweden, a second violin in the context they are operating, and when you read it, it gets you really to question that, and it portrays men, and especially elderly men, in a kind of ridiculous light, I would say, but not undeserved in any way. I think especially at that time, very much very deserved. So this book was really a fantastic read. In many ways, it's going to stay with me forever. I think I'm certainly going to return to it, because I think that I have discovered just a small fraction of nuances Here I can hear it from Mia, who is reading and rereading all the time this book. You should never get tired of it, and it's always feels like a new novel. You discover new things, and you relive some things there. So I'm going to return to it, but before I return to it, I'm going to read another work by Virginia Woolf, Mrs. Dalloway. We'll start with it, in a week or so, and I will get back to you with that review. But until then, if you didn't read it, I highly recommend pick it up, because this shouldn't be missed. See you.